I'm a surviving child of having crossed the Mexican border. I was blamed for being captured. I carried that weight on me for a very, very long time.
Shout out to our sponsor, Local Cold Brew Coffee. Welcome to Book BFFs, the show that celebrates wonderful people and the books they're inspired by. I'm your host, Jenny Valdez, and today we are here with the powerhouse of a woman, Erika Obando. How are you, Erika?
I'm fantastic. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. You are somebody who I recently came across online, and your presence is amazing. So can you please tell us more about yourself, what you do, and how involved you are in the community?
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me here. And my name's Erika, and I'm a speaker. I'm a author, and I'm also a transformational coach. I actually work with individuals who have gone through challenges and hardships in their lives, and I help them overcome them so they can become the best versions of themselves.
I love that. So what book did you bring with us today?
I brought Finding Me by Viola Davis. Wow. I can't wait for us to talk about it because her story not only resonated with me in multiple levels based on our upbringing, our trauma, and our triumphs, but as well as just what an incredible human being she is, what an inspiration.
And it's interesting because with memoirs, you kind of see yourself in the writer as they're telling their story. So you are living your story through them as well in a parallel dynamic. So for you, what was that takeaway that you took from her story that you were just like, I fully 100% resonate with her in this moment?
So a lot of the work that I do today with my coaching is healing and reconnecting with that inner child. Because for so long we call her the victim of it, right? And she said it perfectly in the book, and I could relate to that. The little version of ourselves is not the victim. She actually is the superhero. She got us to where we are now, right? She handed the baton over, as she put in her book. And I have always envisioned that so clearly. It's like, wow, little Erika got me this far. How can I not continue on and make her proud that, you know, that we can become somebody? So that to me resonated tremendously, that inner child component of her book.
I'm so glad that you said that. Inner child work is so, so, so real. And it's interesting because she mentioned that at 28 was when she started having those like, who am I? What am I doing? Why am I here? And she started realizing at 28 that all the work that she was doing was to heal the 8-year-old's version of herself.
Correct. Correct.
What would you tell somebody who's experiencing that right now, who wants to go and start working on healing that inner child and really getting to know the little versions of themselves?
Well, the first thing that I would say is in order to let go of the victim role, you have to let go of the people who hurt you, in the sense of the blaming game, right? There's a component in my book and in hers that is called Time for Forgiveness. And it's that our parents did the best that they could with what they had. And you can't blame them for trying, as you know, to get you to where they got you. But at some point you have to say, thank you for what you've done. I've got it from here, and reparent yourself at that point, right? You're the only person that knows what you're missing in life. Okay. What wasn't done for you. So do it, right? Take charge.
How was your relationship with your parents?
Oh,
yeah. Let's get into
wow,
it. We
you really hit it in there.
We want the tea.
It has been transformative. It has had different layers. And it continues to evolve. For a very, very long time, I held them as my prisoners of that anger that I used to hold on to, right? How could you? Why did you? And at some point, instead of her in her 20s, I sat alone at one point in my 40s, early 40s, in an apartment with, I had just recently moved, and I looked around and I'm like, you know, how much longer do I keep them as my prisoners? How much longer do I keep on to this? And don't I deserve to be happy? And so I started the journey of letting go and forgiving and sending love from afar. I don't currently have a relationship with my mom. That does not mean that I don't love her. and I don't wish her well. I just can't have her in my active life. My dad, on the other hand, he and I have made up about 6 years ago. I made peace with my father. And when I tell you, I cannot live one day without having a phone call from him because he contributes positively to my life. Every time I see his call coming through, I'm like, wow, that's my father. And I have a lot to owe to him, because had it not been for his courage of saying, I want something better for my family, and leaving Colombia and bringing us here, I wouldn't be here talking to you.
How old were you when you came over?
5, the first time.
Right. It's really interesting because going back to memoirs, like speaking about your childhood and your relationship with your parents, a lot of times as adults, we don't realize that the issues and the challenges we're overcoming and we're facing really stem from childhood.
Yes.
And so when you mention reparenting, it's really beautiful to hear that for anybody tuning in and listening, of how to even begin that process and forgiving.
Yes. And you know what? The forgiving component also has to do with forgiving yourself. Because a lot of times, I always say that most of our adult issues are unresolved situations from our childhood. And until you address those, then you can't do the transformation you are looking for as an adult. And so for me, it's an easy conversation to say, hey, let me work on myself.
Yeah.
But it's not about who I am here today. Let me work on that younger child that was deficient of certain things.
Right. And I want to highlight that you just said that. It's not about working on who you are today, it's working about
Yeah.
that inner
Mm-hmm.
child, because that's the core of who you are. So your parents, like a lot of time, your relationship with women is going to stem from your relationship with your mom. Your relationship with
Correct.
men is going to stem from your relationship with your father.
Mm-hmm.
And I fully resonate with that because I've been working on my daddy issues, and it's relatable because everybody has things they're growing through, but we
Yeah.
don't have open format conversations about it because it's kind of like, let's not be
Taboo.
vulnerable, taboo,
Mm-hmm.
let's keep it like, but the more real you make something, the more relatable it is. So I'm grateful that we're having this conversation to be able to highlight that. And your father coming from Colombia to be able to give you a life here, what did that mean for you?
Well, it has meant everything. I'll share something that happened to me recently that I still am pinching myself. I can't believe this. I was invited to the White House as a guest for
Congrats, girl.
Thank you. For Colombian Independence Day, because they were commemorating Colombian Americans making a difference in their communities and supporting the efforts of the U.S. And when I was walking into the building of, so much history and so much, oh my God, it was just surreal. The only thing I can think of was my dad. And I'm like, wow, had it not been for him at that moment years ago, like this wouldn't be happening. So as nervous as I was, as excited as I was to be in that space, the only person that I kind of snuck over to the side to FaceTime was my dad, because he needed to, oh, I'm going to get emotional.
Yeah, go there.
He needed to be as much of a part of that moment as I was. Oh,
Yes,
sorry.
it's okay. It's okay. It's real.
Yeah. So, because, that just comes full circle when it comes to your parents and what they do for you. He did the best he could and he dropped some balls here and there. But his intent was always real. And because of it, I get to enjoy the things that I enjoy today.
Yeah. And it's beautiful. I commend you and give you your flowers for moving forward. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I'm speaking for the Latinos now because I'm Cuban, and like I understand my father came from Cuba too.
Mm-hmm.
So our our family lineages go through things to give us a better life with what they have, and it's, I feel like, our responsibility to do better. So for your
Yeah.
dad to see you in the White House,
Yeah.
that experience must have been like, everything I've ever gone through has been worth it for this moment for my daughter.
Yeah. Yeah. And he is quite the humble man. So he's like, what are you doing? Why are you calling? You should be there. And I said, no, I need you to, you're not here physically, but you are, because I brought you with me. And again, for me, his audacity to just dream as big as he did has given me the ability to be where I am today. And so I carry that very, very in the front of everything that I do, to make sure that I don't forget, I'm sorry, to thank him
Mm,
each and every step of the way.
that's so powerful. And in that process for you forgiving him, how did that look like to you?
Oh, that was a lot of work.
Yeah.
Because again, you just we're conditioned to hold on to things. We're conditioned to just define that, yeah, I'm going to be angry and I'm going to carry that with me and that's how I'm going to be. But at the end of the day, it's like that saying, right? It's like drinking the poison and expecting the other person to die. It's not going to happen,
Mm.
right? So why don't you just let go of that bag of rocks that you've been carrying for so long and see if there's a potential of, a follow up relationship. And that's exactly what's happened. I was very reluctant when he reached out to me to reconnect. And I have a very special human being in my life right now that said, I don't care. We're going to go and listen to him to see what he's going to say. And had it not been for him kind of pushing me out of my comfort zone, I wouldn't have his relationship today. And so it was a lot of work in progress, but his intent and my intent are to have a good relationship, and so it works.
Wow, so beautiful. I can relate. So thank you for sharing that. I'm sure many people listening in can relate to that.
Yeah.
And it's cool because the conversation of forgiveness is very controversial, right? There's people that believe it, people that don't. And Viola
Hmm.
talks about how one of the biggest things she had to overcome was from her childhood in the 3rd grade when she was going home after school and these
Yeah.
group of boys would bully her, telling her she's ugly and she's black. And so no matter how far up she raised her own bar in Hollywood, she still saw herself as the ugly black girl.
Right.
And she had to reach the point of forgiveness.
For herself, right? For others, but for herself as well. Yeah, she did a tremendous amount of work in forgiveness. And again, another thing that hit me the hardest with the book is that forgave her father, who played a huge role in everything she has become. Her mom, right? Because there was some resentment there to why didn't you do something about it? Um, and it just has made her who she is, right? And it has elevated her to have her own children, have a relationship where she can connect to someone else because she has done the work to get rid of all of that anger, all of that things that doesn't serve her.
Yes, and to bring it full circle of what we've been talking about parenting and and
Hmm.
and that our parents give us the best that they can with what they have, and
Yeah.
then we go and kind of take it up a notch, and then our kids take it up a notch, and
Hmm.
that cycle, right? Or that growth, I would say. And her parents had a middle school education
Yeah.
to then her having a degree. And I relate to that because my grandparents had a middle school education. And then my mom was the first in her family to get her degree, right? So that evolution of growth is where it's at. So for
Yeah.
even you and your story of being like, hey, my dad came from Colombia to give me a good life, to then be able to grow to that next level is there's a lot of takeaways.
Yeah.
There's a lot of takeaways
And
from that.
like you said, it's changing the narrative for the next generation. I have a 25-year-old son, and when I see where he's at, again, it just comes back to thanking my dad, but I decided that there were some templates I wasn't going to follow or apply to my parenting with him because I wanted him to succeed, and he has, and he's a very successful professional human being now. He's always my baby. I don't care how
Oh,
old he
yeah,
is.
of course. We just had babies.
He's still my baby. I'm sure that he doesn't like to be called that, but no, and we have a great relationship because I respect him and value him for who he is as an individual. And then, he's always my son, but
Yeah. So have you found yourself in moments as a parent where you've been like, I'm repeating my dad's parenting, or I'm repeating my mom's parenting?
yeah, that moment when I went for the chancla at one point.
Yes! Everybody
And
knows
I'm like,
La
wait a second.
Chancla!
This is a little familiar.
Let's go. Let's go.
No. Yes, there have been plenty of times, especially during middle school, when he was a teenager, kind of growing into his skin of, who I am, who is this
Yeah.
persona inside of me. We had a lot of clashes, and there was a lot of times where I was just like, this is all I know. I'm gonna go ahead and, you know, pull out the chancla. But again, the change comes when you can catch yourself and say, no, no, this didn't work for me. Why would it work on him? Those are the pivotal moments in life where I think that a lot of people have opportunities to change, right? Where you're like, "Well, if this didn't work on me, why would I do it on somebody else?" And so that held me back from continuing on those patterns. And instead, I sat him down, I had conversations with him, and, and we ended up having a good relationship because he saw that I respected him as a human being. And then I respected him as my son, that I was there to teach him, not beat it into him, you know?
Yes. So what would you tell a parent who's ready to grab that chancla and just go in with the chancla? What would you tell that parent?
Walk outside with the chancla and take a breath.
So coge la chancla todavía.
Sí.
Get the sandal already,
Listen.
but just take it outside and take a breath.
By the time you grab the chancla, it's too late, right? But at that moment, just catch yourself, go outside for a breath. Go have a glass of wine or something. No, it's about, you're gonna have those impulses. Those are the tools that were handed down to us, right? So how could we not? We just instinctively pick it up, and that's what we do. But again, it's our responsibility to catch ourselves and ask every step of every part of our day, is this something that was done to me and that's why I'm doing it this way? Or does it actually really work?
Right.
And I think in that auditing process of yourself, that's where you find the change, right? To
Gotcha.
to change the narrative for somebody
Yeah.
else.
So within changing the narrative, changing your story, you being a transformational coach, what's been like the biggest thing that you've had to transform
For myself or for someone else?
for yourself?
For myself. Ugh.
Yes.
Are you coaching me?
Maybe. Okay.
I was like, oh my God, I feel like I'm with my therapist. No,
I love people.
So the biggest transformation for me was allowing myself to feel that I deserve where I'm at. There was a long time where I was just like, I would get all these great job opportunities, all these, invitations, all this, and I always felt guilty that I didn't deserve it, right? And I know I've done the work. I just didn't do the work with myself to say, Erika, you've hustled to get to where you are. Yes, you deserve to be at the White House. Yes, you deserve to, because you've done the work. But um, people that go through trauma usually feel that they don't deserve what they get because all they're doing is just surviving, right? Just surviving. But the reality is that I had to do the work to say, no, I deserve to be in an incredible relationship. I deserve to have a son that's successful, a career that doesn't feel like work, that I'm actually helping people. That was the biggest transformation for me, and it was hard. It was hard because, again, it was kind of looking myself in the mirror and saying, let's get some of the garbage out, clean this house up, and then bring some really nice things in because you deserve it.
Yeah. And celebrating yourself for that, right?
Yes.
Because even when I asked you, oh, in your life, you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
Because you're so used to talking about other people, but this is about
Correct.
you. And sometimes when you get the spotlight on you, it's like, wait, do I deserve to have this spotlight?
Correct.
So seeing that growth for you is pretty epic.
It is. And it's, it's still a work in progress, because I don't ever think that we're ever done. I
Oh
think we're
no,
just
honey.
continuously
No.
growing, and,
Forever evolving.
exactly. So I'm working on that.
I love that. That as you should. It's beautiful, but you're so self-aware and on it that it's like
Yeah.
it radiates off of you. For you, if somebody asked you, who are you? What would your response be?
Um, I'm that little girl still inside, and I think that that's what's helped me get to where I'm at. I show up as the little 8-year-old Erica, which is weird because in my work, with my clients, I ask them to close their eyes and envision their younger self and tell me what
Mhm.
age they see themselves. And when I did the work with myself, I see an 8-year-old little girl. I think that's where my trauma started to happen. And so that's who I envision in my mind. So whenever I show up, she gets to play, right? She gets to come to the forefront, and she gets to wear the heels and the dress and the hair.
Yes, and feel
And
herself.
so, yeah, exactly. So I show up as her, because she is fearless, and she is extremely, just childlike, curious. And I want to keep that at the forefront of what I do, because if I, look at the mirror and I say, "Oh my God, I'm 48 and I'm old," then it's all over for me. So I make sure that whenever I look at the mirror, I see her. And that's who we're taking out. So that's who dressed up today.
Let's go. We love her.
Little
We're here for
Erica's
her.
here.
We're here for little Erika and big Erika. We're
Yeah,
here for
exactly.
both. But it's cool because you've intertwined the both of them.
Yes.
Usually like you're either on one end or the other end, but you being able to intertwine the both of them. And low key, I feel like that's the secret to the fountain of youth.
Correct. It is. It is. When I share my age, people are like, "Oh, what did you just say?" And I'm like, "Yeah,
Yeah,
I get to
you don't
be
look it at all though.
here." Well, thank you,
You're
but
welcome.
I get to be here for 48 years. I there was so many times where it could have ended, because trauma was real for me when I was a child. And the fact that I get to be here, I get to celebrate that number. For me, also,
Yeah.
age is a mentality, right?
Yeah.
Again, I show up as the 8-year-old little girl that wants to play. So
So you keep mentioning the word trauma.
mhm.
We don't have to go there, but I feel called to ask you, if you're open, what's one of the most traumatic experiences that you faced and how did you overcome it?
It's always been the one thing. When my dad decided to bring us to this country, we were smuggled into this country illegally, right? And then we got deported back when I was 8. And then we were back in Colombia during a time where Colombia was in unrest, right? The cartel had taken over, people were being kidnapped for ransom. And so my dad said, "I can't do this." And we came back the second time. And so I'm a surviving child of having crossed the Mexican border. And for me, that right there was the crossing itself. I can close my eyes and see it vividly, was a part of the trauma. But I don't want to point fingers at who it was, but I was blamed for being captured. It's actually the main point of my book, and why the color purple plays such a big role in my book, Without a Voice. And it's because I was blamed for being captured and being detained at the border. And I carried that weight on me for a very, very long time. And I blamed myself for it because that's what I was told. So that for me was the heaviest part of it. But then going back and doing the work as an adult and realizing that it was just someone else's fear imposed on me, then I understood that I can release myself from that culpability and move on.
That's so powerful.
Yeah.
So, so powerful. And you, in that story you just shared, going back to that child and revisiting some experiences to be able to heal them. How was that experience for you?
It took a lot of work because going back into it, and it actually happened during the process of writing my book, because I thought I was going to set out to write a book to help others, right? Because that's what we do, right? We're out there and trying to help other
Because we really want
people.
to help
Right,
ourselves.
exactly.
That's what we really want to do.
But in order to, and I'm sure that that's what happened to Viola, and she spoke about it as well, is that in the process of writing my book, I didn't anticipate having to heal through it to be able to deliver a good product, for someone else to get inspired by it. And I said, "Oh, I'm going to set out to write my book. It's going to take me a year. We're going to be successful, blah, blah." But it took me 3.5 years because a lot of that deep healing had to happen at his own time, at its own pace. There were times where I would write, because I wrote that experience of having crossed the border in full detail, because again, I remembered it. And there were times where I had to stop and put it down for a month and not come back to it because I couldn't. It was too much. It was opening up old wounds and speaking about it, writing about it, crying through it, healing through it, and then put it down because I needed a minute. So,
One of my favorite parts from the book was when Viola mentions, I'd rather be 10 rounds with Mike Tyson
yeah.
than face some of my inner truths.
Yeah. Correct. because with the fight, you know what to expect, right? You just brace for it. But the healing, it's an avalanche that you cannot control. Once you open it, it's there,
Yes.
and it's ugly and it's messy, and there's a lot of cleaning up.
Yes. So you seem like you've done a lot of the
Yeah.
core healing. Healing is a lifelong journey, but you've done a lot of the core healing. What does that look like for you now, adult version of Erika?
So now I feel like throughout my journey of healing and getting to where I'm at today, along the way I collected a lot of tools, right? A lot of amazing tools that helped me with this, that helped me with that, helped me rebuild my foundation, helped me kind of fix a wall, one of those
Yes.
things, right? And now I get to offer that humongous toolbox to my clients, right? So in my coaching, there's most of the time I could relate to something because, man, in my life I didn't realize how much I went through until I started helping people, and I was like, oh my god, I went through the same thing. Hold up a second, I have that tool. Hold on, let me go into my toolbox. So that is probably the best part of it, that I can open up my toolbox and together with my clients go through the toolbox and say, yeah, this is it. This is the one that's going to help you repair that wall or rebuild a foundation. And so that to me it was meant worth going through everything,
Yeah.
right? It was worth going through everything that I went through if it means where I'm at right now, which is a healed human as well as one that likes to help others.
And somebody who's owned their story.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
That's key.
Until I owned my story, I didn't become myself.
Right. And the more authentic and vulnerable you were, the more relatable people came.
Hmm. Yeah.
That's a huge takeaway from this whole conversation because that's what Viola did and that's what you're doing as well,
Yeah.
following an example in that process. And fun fact, I saw that you're part of Women of Tomorrow, and when I was in high school, I was part of Women of Tomorrow too.
Yay.
Yes.
Yes. For me, it's a very, very big responsibility that I take to heart to empower younger women to find themselves, to find that fire within and say, I can, because, and I will, and see, watch me. Because, in today's youth, there's a lot of that guidance missing sometimes, unfortunately, for whatever reason, right? The blaming component is irrelevant, but there's a lot of guidance missing. And so, like I said, I have one son, but in Women of Tomorrow, I have 30 girls, 35 girls that are my daughters, that I take to heart, that I'm like, what do you need? Where can I help? What tool can we use? Let me teach you how to do this, or open their eyes to things that they were never even exposed to. And so for me to see that, it's like, so I'm glad that, that you understand what that means because you went through the program.
Right? Viola mentions a lot how she said, teachers were my saviors.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes when we're involved in the community, involved with people, or had a teacher back in the day that was able to impact us, that's a huge change that we're able to grow with.
I can relate to that. Like, you have no idea. If you don't mind, I'd like to share on that note.
Yes.
I left my home when I was 14 because of the trauma. I ended up running away and I ended up at a nun's house. Not necessarily because I was going to become a nun, but there was a home that was held by nuns that took in women that couldn't afford regular rent, whether they're coming out of abusive homes or they were alone in this country. And so I managed to convince them to let a 14-year-old in if I had my dad sign me over to them, and he did. And I lived with them for 2 years. Um, that was 14 through 16. Fast forward about a year after I had moved out, I went to go look for them. Gone. Nowhere to be found. No one knew about them. The house had been sold to somebody else. And I'm like, no, no, no. I know. I lived here for 2 years. And I spent the next 32 years looking for the one nun that was the main nun there who became a mom to me, Sister Philomena. And after 32 years and a lot of FBI-ish digging around,
Ya tú sabes, en la computadora.
exactly, I'm like, I'm gonna find her. I found her at 92, retired in her home in Spain, and I was in the midst of finalizing my book in Spanish, and I had told her she is the key star of my book. Sister Philomena, right? Because I talked to her about her. I have photos of her. And my boyfriend decided to surprise me by buying me tickets to go see her. And that rushed me to finish the book. So in March of this year, for the first time in 32 years, I went to go see her in Spain. Again, had the 16-year-old version of myself, get embraced by who became one of my first moms. So
How did that feel?
uh, again, super surreal because she obviously at 90 something, she remembered exactly what she used to call me, which was Maha, right? So she's like, Maha. And she was so surprised to see me. And she, again, referenced that she's like, you're still the little 16-year-old that you left. I see it in your face. And so it was profound. And we still talk to this day. Occasionally I'll call her every couple of weeks. She FaceTimes, God only knows how. 90 something. My
Let's
dad's
go.
73, he still can't figure that out.
Abuelita
But
going in.
she's in Spain and she's like this, llámame por WhatsApp.
Por WhatsApp.
Call me through WhatsApp. And then, but I love it because I'll call her and she'll forget that it's a video. So, I see this much of her the entire time, right? So
Yeah.
I'm like, Philo, just put the phone here. But yeah, surreal opportunity to be able to reconnect the dots for me. And that was a tremendous amount of healing.
Yeah. Wow, that's
Yeah.
really powerful.
It's probably one of the best highlights of the healing process to have been able to go and find her. And I sat with her. She threw this, she lives in a retiree convent now. And she threw this ginormous party, dinner. I was like, what? Who's coming? She's like, this is all for you. I'm like, what? So yeah, they made a huge deal that I was there and I was able to sit with her and read her the portion of the book that she's in.
And you know what? You deserve it.
Yes. Yes. I was extremely happy there. Like I had never experienced anything like it.
Wow. I'm like getting all the feels. I'm just like process all of that. It's really powerful. And I just want to reiterate for anybody listening to this, if you did not maybe have the mother figure that you wanted, or maybe the father figure that you wanted, there's other resources and other beautiful human beings that are able to guide you. You just have to put it out there.
Yeah.
Put yourself in a place where you can attract that, whether it's a mentor, whether it's finding a mother figure, a father figure, a coach, just somebody that can help guide you, because within that story, that's
Yeah,
the
she made the
golden ticket.
difference. She made all the difference. Her teachings in 2 years allowed me to build a foundation that I raised my son on. And I'll be eternally grateful for that opportunity with her. And to make a note on what you said, it's not about attracting those people. They're already there. It's just us being open enough to say, I deserve the help. I deserve the love. I deserve to be noticed. I deserve it, right? Because again, that's the component of trauma that you don't feel like you deserve it. So they're all there, but sometimes we push them away because we're so afraid to let that person in.
Wow, you just taught me that. Yes, it's almost like they're in the eyesight, but our eyes are looking here and they're
Correct.
right here.
Yeah.
But we're so focused on this,
Mhm.
we don't see this.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really powerful. Thank you. This has been like such a huge blessing. Are there any favorite parts of the book that you want to highlight?
Yeah, one of the things that I really liked that she did that not a lot of celebrities have done is she kept it real. I loved when she showed up to award ceremonies, getting a prestigious award, saying I had to figure out how to budget for the dress I was going to wear, or go. I think she mentioned she wore one of her dresses from like a thrift store that she had to go get it because she still wasn't making enough to be able to buy what she deserved. And so for her to keep it real, keeping the numbers of what people get paid in Hollywood real, right? The struggle, like still, shedding light on that there's a problem that needs to still be fixed. That I loved, her authenticity and her bravery to say, I'm going to put it out there.
Yes.
It may not be pleasing to everybody else, but I'm going to put it out there because that was my life, my story. And I love that because I felt the same way with mine, right? Like, not a lot of people are going to be happy with me writing this book and putting it out there, but I can't not, I'm owning it. And that's what she did. She owned it. The entire portion of her book, everything from cover to cover, she owned it. And that was what I took away from it.
And you did.
Yeah.
You owned your story and now you have your book. What's the title of your book?
Without a Voice, a woman's
Without a
journey to
Voice.
resiliency. And it's also in Spanish, El silencio de mi voz.
Nice. Where can people buy it?
I always direct people to the author's website, so erikaobando.com. And I have a special surprise for you today because you actually—
I get a surprise? I deserve a surprise? Hold on.
You get your own copy of Without a Voice.
Thank you. Wow. Without a Voice, a woman's journey of resiliency. Erika Obando. So beautiful. Yeah, it's
And
little
that's
you.
the 5 little, yeah, that's a 5-year-old little Erika.
5-year-old little Erika. Wow.
And a fun fact about the book is that my son, he is an associate producer for ESPN, but he has excellent skills in graphics, which is part of what he does at work. And so he designed the back end of the book.
So epic. Guys, make sure to check out Without a Voice by Erika Obando. This beautiful, beautiful goddess, queen, woman, all the things with us here. I love this. I'm cherishing this. Before we go, we're going to play a nice game. That's a Book BFFs tradition.
Okay.
It's called word association.
Okay.
So I'm going to say some words from the book and some words not from the book. And then you're going to say the first thing that comes to your mind.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
Are you ready?
Yes, I think so.
5-year-old Erika gets to play. This beautiful queen right here gets to play. All right. These are words from the book.
Okay.
All right? You ready?
Mm-hmm. Dale.
Dale, eso, mami. Craft.
Yourself
Expression.
is everything.
Compassion.
Is a must.
Competition.
Not even with yourself.
Respect.
Always.
Feeling.
A lot.
A lot of feelings right now. Wholeness.
Wow. Fulfillment.
Fluidity.
Is everything. Yeah.
Hope.
For a better tomorrow.
That was cute. Perseverance.
It's what drives you forward.
I thought you were going to say it's everything.
Yeah,
I love it.
It is.
But it is what drives you forward. All right. Words not from the book.
Okay.
Okay. Computer.
Best thing ever.
Technology in the up. Ham.
Not a fan.
That rhymed. Jump.
Into success.
Autumn.
My favorite.
Dessert.
Oh, my weakness.
Oh, let's go. We're hitting all of them. Sidewalk.
Long.
Wheel.
House.
Leaves.
Autumn.
I love that autumn was the next word. Literally
know, right?
guess the next word on the card. That's insane. Velcro.
Sneakers.
Pineapple.
Oh, wait. Someone just said this the other day about pineapple. It's about growth.
Ooh, nice. We'll take that. Wow. Erika, thank you so much for being here. This has been so beautiful, so transformative, so educational. You are really a powerhouse and a leader of a woman. Please continue pushing forward and doing what you're doing because it inspires women like myself to continue on our path. So
thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for leading by example. Where can people find you?
erikaobando.com or tpecoaching.com.
Nice. So there you have it, friends. Erika, make sure to check her out, and also check out Finding Me by Viola Davis. If you want to get your copy today, make sure to click the link in the description below. And as always, comment, like, subscribe. We want to hear from you. What were your favorite parts about the interviews, and what do you want to know more of? Turn the page. We'll see you on the next one.